Before I start, this is a summary of the second part of his Sonic Link movies, except for the previous series, which you will find below in the description. Without further ado, let us continue with the last thing we saw, that Sonic and Knuckles at the Az Hotel cooperated together on a robot, Nick, and Sonic obtained the power of a stone. Emerald was able to defeat him, and Nick's robot disappeared, and no one knows whether he lived or died, and Sonic is a hotel. And Knuckles and they have become one team, and now we are going to Japan to the Asma John Odi Foundation, where the Kanfu Shadow was imprisoned. Shadow was imprisoned now. He is now 50 years old, and his mind is still thinking about some memories of the past. At the same time, the regime of the place is taking him away, and Shadow will move. Fajrskis is getting ready and going to Shadow's prison, and Shadow is opening Ridge and Breaker. He uses the capsule and uses his superpowers. He also appears to quickly choose a substance and defeat all the guards. I am from the Yan and Ri Foundation to the city of Tokyo. On the other side, Sonic is at the Oz and Nak Hotel. They were preparing for Hitsup, which is Sonic. He is attacking them and says, "You will definitely lose because I am the fastest being in the galaxy." Tom and Maddie are organizing the race in the trio. Camel Bentalab and her Sonak were only thinking about taking the lead. They are surprised that Tails is ahead of him. Sonic is silent. He is running as fast as he can and reaches the finish line, but he is surprised when he sees 0 hours, 1 minute, and 24 seconds. Tails and Knuckles arriving before him, and he says how I am against the ban. I lose in the speed race, and when he talks to Tails and Knuckles, he just laughs his figures. So he runs to the camp to understand. Yes, he finds his friends treating him to mark 3 years of Sonic's existence on the ground, while Sonic understands that this race was just a distraction, so he can come and surprise the party at the Az Hotel. And Knuckles tells him that you deserve the honor, because if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here. Tom and Maddie tell him that since the day you came, you changed our lives, and Sonic is happy, and Flo is crying, and he and Tom are walking, and by coincidence, Sonic is in me. You find the old cave where he lived, and Toon will see the picture Sonic drew for his owl Long, and Sonic tells him, "It's a pure coincidence that I drew this drawing on my first day on Earth, because I better remember where I'm coming from. And I want Long." Tom told him that it will definitely be a loss for you, because you are kind and follow your heart. And so he makes a right trial, and Sonic tells him if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been participating as a completely different person. While Shadow was walking in the streets of Japan and looking at tea, he pretends that it is the year 2024, and thus he will be imprisoned for 50 years. And the forces of the Jin Foundation are keen to catch him, while he is getting angry and will start attacking them. And at the same time, Sonic and the rest of him were sitting in peace, and he reached the end. They have a helicopter, and a representative of Rockwell takes him down and tells Sony that he is in danger. He appears in Tokyo, and Army Commander Waters B requests support from Team Sonic. In order to confront this danger, while Sonic endures and Biff provides assistance, they board a plane with Rockwell from there, or they move and leave the gate. He and I arrive in Tokyo within seconds, and Sonic encourages the journalists and tells them that we do not know who we will face. But as long as we are together, no one will be able to attack us, and the three of them get off a plane and let him fly safely away. Bella, the place is ruined, and there is a car just attacking them. Knuckles saves the place, and it appears just as it is Shadow. Sonic is surprised and asks him, "How do I look like me?" Shadow told him, "I don't look like anyone else. Don't waste my time and go away from the best path for you." Sonic remains calm and tells him, "Come, let's talk and see what's bothering you." Shadow tells him, "I don't. I was talking to someone and he was leaving them and walking. But Knuckles wanted to fight, so he ran up to him, but Shadow appeared. In front of him, suddenly they hit several times in the air, and they fly away, and Sonic and Tails get up and start fighting with Shadow, but Shadow is surprised and appears behind them and hits them. And then he rides on a motorcycle, and B and Sonic do not come after him. But Sonic does not remain silent, and runs and comes, and Shadow tries hard to hit him with fire and trample them. But Sonic was running away from him, grabbing the motorcycle and continuing his chase, and the cigarettes collide and they go to this building, and Shadow is able to get rid of him, and he flies in the air. And then the two of them attack each other at the same time, and Sonic cannot bear to collide with him. And Peeve may realize for a while, and his friends come to him and tell him that it is no use fighting him alone. We are forcing a team and transferring someone else. He said to Tails, "But I'm still not used to it, and now we need a lot of answers to your questions," and they go away completely. They meet Commander Waters, and Sonic asks him who we killed. This is Waters, and he tells him a story. Shadow is similar to your story, But you found family and friends on Earth. But Shadow received pain, loss, and the renewal of those he loves. 50 years ago, a meteorite landed on Earth. The faces of the meteorite were present. Shadow and scientists. They took Shadow and studied her abilities and discovered tremendous strength due to her superior strength. The destroyed test and what happened in this, the incident is that he is among the people and the founder of a laboratory doctor, and he is the innovator. They arrested him and they did not know what they were supposed to do with Shadow. He could not remain free so as not to increase anything dangerous to anyone. At the same time, it was useless, and when he died, he recorded a very dark record. So I locked myself in a Sonic capsule. He said, it remains certain. Someone helped Shadow get free from the capsule, and what he said is very true. There are a very small number of people who know that Shadow exists suddenly and without. Before warning, Robotnik's drones appear, and they all take out their bows. Some of the firefighters take advantage of where the planes came from. And Nick's robot is already dead, and someone appears with a motorcycle, and he gets to the drones and completely stops working, and this strange person does not reveal himself and walks away. And in my hands, Sonic has a key to a powerful weapon. He says that you are the only one I can trust to take the key. Leave it with you and not. She finally lets him go, and then Waters dies, and after a few seconds, she arrives at Rockwell. But Sonic and his friends were searching Waters' corpse and found the key. She realizes that the key is with Sonic in a hotel. She asks Sonic, why did we run away from Rocco? He told her, nobody can be a driver right now. And they are trying to find the strange person riding a motorcycle because they want to know who this is. And he stands up, reveals himself, and reveals that he is Stone, the assistant who is keeping you safe. They suspect that he was the one who freed Shadowstone. He tells them that it was not me or Robotnik who did this, and we go to Dr. Robotnik, who remains sitting and not doing anything in his life except eating and watching on the television. And the drone is finally getting everything he needs, and he is still very cheating. He breaks up when he sees Sonic and his friends in front of him and asks Stone, why did you bring my last enemy and 3 of them? They will also be surprised that he is alive. Weston tells Robotnik that there is someone who is imitating you, and he is using your robots. Pure video of Robotnik and Robotnik pours when he knows this. Baker finds this person and takes revenge on him. Tells says to Sony, I'm sorry, but we have to cooperate with Robotnik to find Shadow, and Sonic was chosen. Knuckles agreed, so Sun decided to listen to what they said because they were a team and Nick was a robot. He agrees to the girlfriend, but on the condition that he takes a hair from Sonic's head and Sony gives him his hair. And then Stone flies to Nick's robot and adjusts it, while Shada is in the destroyed laboratory and sees his boots, Maria's daughter. Maria was the granddaughter of the professor in charge of the laboratory, and she sees Shadow and loves him very much. And Shadow feels like a girl. She is kind, and he loves her, and they meet outside. They have a good time, and she always comes to the laboratory, and she takes it because Shadow has become her close friend, and they are not indifferent to some creativity. One day they talk together about the stars in the sky, and Maria tells him, my grandfather used to tell me that the stars have been ignored from the earth for thousands of years. And she asks, and you have been since I finish. And he tells her that I am with. He didn't know anything about my homeland. Maria told him to acknowledge yourself in your homeland and in your country, but Shadow told her that he thought that I was a dangerous person, and this she knew from the point of view of scholars. Lavana is confused. He knows that I am in a job. Maria told him, you are my friend, and you can become anyone you choose because you are the one who repeats, who are you from your heart? And Shadow thanks her for her words or holds her hand. And at the present time, Shadow B finds someone entering on him, and this is the professor who was supervising Shadow's studies. 50 years ago, the same person who was arrested, and Chad told him, I cannot forget the pen that happened to me from the people who, the professor locked me up and said to him, I'm not coming to you to follow them. Then a few minutes later, Robotnik takes Sonic and the rest to the laboratory where Shadow is, and the professor tells Sir and Robotnik tells them that we should disperse and go around the place for something that might benefit us, and that is Sonic. He was not confident in Robotnik, and Mr. Fitch was cooperating, and the rest are scattering. They go out and search the place, but Shadow appears and attacks them, while Sonic Fippy is found practicing. Shadow is there. He sees a picture of himself with Maria and Bader, that the place where Shadow and Shadow lived suddenly appears, and they attack. As for Robotnik, I find drones here, and he looks at the professor, and the one who finds out that he is the fraudulent person who stole the drone from Robotnik, and tells him that I discovered the drone and used it for, I tempt you and bring you here, and we will reunite our family because I am your grandfather, Gerald. And Robotnik Pete was shocked by his words, and Gerald tells him, you come from an intelligent lineage. Starting from the fact that I have Robotnik, he wanted to make sure of his intelligence, and that he is really his grandfather. They ask questions about mathematics and geography, and Gerald answers them completely, and he had the same movements as Robotnik. He even took his hair from Shadow and Robot. Nick is happy when he makes sure that his grandfather and I hugged him while he was asking, "Where are you all these centuries?" Gerald said to him, "I was locked in a prison. It's been a secret for 50 years. Why did I bring you here?" He's taking him, and Puri has Sonic and his friends tied up, and Sonic is in shock. He sees Robotnik in front of him and knows that he is Robotnik's grandfather. He is liberating Shadow and attacking Waters. Shadow takes the key that Waters entrusted him, and Shadow and Gerald wanted to take revenge on his founder. Because of them, they remained in prison for years, and Gerald wanted to use the key to eliminate. He tells that he made the Jinn Foundation the most powerful weapon known to mankind, and this in exchange for being released from prison, and the cannon that I made can deliver a strong, powerful blow to any place on Earth. And our goal is to eliminate the Jinn Foundation. And Sonic tells him, but a powerful weapon like this is a huge threat to you. And Gerald does not care about what he says and tells Robotnik that there is a second key that we must get in order to operate the cannon, and this second key is inside it. There is a founder who has gone crazy for himself, and Nick's robot is returning to evil, and he agrees. He wants his grandfather, and Sonic tries to reason with Shadow and tells him that you are good inside out, so he can't do that. Shadow rejects his words and wants to take revenge on the one who was imprisoned. He holds him in a wire with his teeth, and Sonny takes a ring from Tails, and they open a gate. He goes to another place and swims safely, but Robotnik thinks they are dead and tells him to take care, kill them a lot, of course. And you came one day and got rid of them. How great you are. And Gerald tells him that no one will be able to come to our destination. And he, Pia, is his little one. And Pia spends the time with the Sawa family and makes up for each other for everything they missed, while Tom and Maddie were in their house, and their witnesses continue in silence, which is Sonic and his friends. They fear for them, and Sonic tells them, "We want to help you with a dangerous mission." And they agree to join the hotel as they resist the establishment. A genie in London and an energy shield around him that burns anything sold from it. We need to put a specific flash in the control room so that I can fully control the energy shield. And whoever delivers the flash to the control room will be the physical Tom, and then Sonic will use his speed to pass the laser lines, and then he will remain. There is the capo that has the second option, and there is not enough information. The guard is monitoring it, and Maddie is getting close to Sonic, on the emerald stone hanging on the key with the utmost ease. But Sonic rejects this idea. Using the emerald stone is very dangerous because of the ability, and Sonic's team hid it somewhere that no one knew except Knuckles. So the plan becomes the facility. They go to London and implement Tails' plan. And the ancient villains arrive at the headquarters of Jinn is in London, and Shadow wanted someone to get the key and kill anyone in his path. But Gerald guides him and tells him why it's your turn, or he and Nick's robot move. At the same time, Tom and Maddie arrive, and Song informs Knuckles that his turn will break a certain button in case of an emergency. Tom and Buddy use devices that change their appearance for Rich and Rand, and they are able to fear the company's headquarters and avoid the security guards. And then Maddie transforms in order to pass through. They go to the control room to put in a flash drive, but they find that there is someone there indeed. The flash was placed before them. The Sabbath Hotel scans the building, and you see special people at the capo. I want to create Robotnik and Gerald, and they can pass the laser lines using the suit they were wearing because it was anti-laser. The Sal Hotel, when you know their presence, you tell Sony, Fusen will not be silent, and Intel will find a hotel if you try. You stop him because the power shield is working again, but Sonic decides to take a risk to stop it. Robotnik, Gerald, and Pint are about to get past him, but there is no right for Tails to interfere, and he quickly throws him in the face, and then he takes him away from everyone and arrives at the grandson and his grandfather. The two of them were going to take the key, but a strange paralysis occurs to them. He tries on the ground, and Sonic also cannot reach the key. He gets tired. The place is full of diversity. No way, 0 hours, 13 minutes, and 55 seconds. Gravity means that the red area stays down, and the green area stays up in Roko. She is afraid for them, and Sonic wanted to help her, but she tells him, I won't let you two steal the key to Rogo. They are afraid for them, and they press Tom and Maddie's hotel, and Sonic has an order for Knuckles to go to the Azaz Palace. And in fact, this is what he does. He breaks down the place and gets the Poe control device, and instead of disabling the gravity ceiling, he makes mistakes and works all over the room, and everyone either flies up or sticks down. And the problem is what? What you encounter is that gravity pulls what breaks on them, so they are in danger. From the iron and the key fall on the ground between Robotnik and Rocco, and the two of them crawl towards their end, and the ceiling was about to fall on Sonic's friends. But But Sonic responds, running and destroying Black without thinking about the destruction. The gravity device, everyone moves at their own pace, and Rockwell gets the key and walks away. And an idea comes to him in a way, and he appears in front of Rockwell, the leader. Waters and Bee ask her to give him the key. She is deceived and gives him a key. But before he walks, Shadow appears. Shadow thinks that this is Waters, who ordered him to be imprisoned for 50 years, so he attacks him with all force. He takes a key and Sonic arrives and sees Tom unconscious, and Shadow becomes emotional. When he sees Sonic, he wants him to wake up and remember when he was trying to wake up Maria back in the day when he died. And Sonic was telling him, "What are you? You did it to Shad." And he tells him what you should have done. And he goes to help Robotnik and Gear choose from the guards. So they have the two choices. And they go to Gerald Weston's cannon and arrive at Nick's robot house. And he tries to warn him about Gerald, and he tells him, "This is a bad guy, and I doubt his intentions." Robotnik rejects his words and refuses, and then gives him the two keys. He comes out with the cannon from under the water, and the ambulance comes to take Tom, who was in a very bad condition, and Sonic. He is upset about what happened and wants to take revenge on him. Shadow Pie makes up his mind and asks Knuckles to show him the location of the emerald. Knuckles is at a hotel. They try to make him understand that the power of the emerald is dangerous, but he rejects their words and sees that there is no other solution. Knuckles vows to tell him where the stone is, and they were about to arrive. A power stone. But Knuckles was calm, and they found out where the stone was and that it was with the police, and hand in hand were dealing with it. He treats it as a hockey puck, and Sonic goes to him, takes it from him, gains power, turns his thoughts into reality, and flies out into the open air. He feels the danger of Robotnik and Gerald and learns that they have kidnapped a dangerous cannon that could destroy a country in seconds. And Gerald tells Shadow that the time has come for revenge, but Shadow feels that what he does this, it is not the right thing, and he asks him, "Did Maria agree to this?" Gerald asked him the question, "This is not true, because they deserve what we will do to them. And remember, Geneva took a mirror from us." And Shadow remembers the time when Gerald asked them to run away, and the guards were behind them to arrest Shadow. During this chase, a fire strike came on the power capsule. They examined the explosion in the place, and the doctors died in it. Enrique and Maria also died. Shad and Gerald were very upset and arrested Gerald and Shadow after they left. I remember these painful memories. He was convinced by Gerald's words, and Iggy preferred to use the cannon to supply him with energy. And Nick's robot asked his grandfather what exactly was happening. What exactly is happening? Gerald told him, "Using Shadow's power, we can move towards the planet Earth." Robotnik's house is shocked, and he rejects this idea. He rejects the obstacle, telling him that if we used it together to be able to rule the world. Gerald told him, "Humanity, try it, and you fail." Most people know this because all their lives, people have never rejected you, and there is no one dear to you on Earth, and there is no one who loves you. Robotnik told him that you exist and respects you, my family. Gerald responded to him and said to him, "When I lost my granddaughter, my family disappeared forever because of what happened to her. I will destroy the world. In order to achieve justice, there is a robot. Bait Dayak, Bader in." Stone's words were true, and Gerald later fired a missile at the ground. 10 minutes, Sonic delivers them to their vehicle and takes Shadow into space. He tells him everything will be over. Now he falls to the ground, and Shadow hits a strong blow, and stones fly out of him. And they both ask for them at the same time. Each one of them takes 3 stones and writes a big power and continues the fight together, and Shadow remains very strong. They kept fighting in different places on Earth, and their accusations were terrible, and they were a fucking robot. He beats Gerald and wants to spoil his plan, but Gerald Bear made them beat him with a big blow, while Shadow and Sonic were still going to hit each other, and pain had the upper hand for Shadow, and Shadow was provoking and talking about Tom. So Sonic was getting angry and was trying to gather strength and give him a strong advantage, flying to the end of the moon, and the strength disappears from Shadow. So Sun becomes stronger than him and can be overpowered. But he remembers what Tom said when he said to him, "You are you. You have a good heart." So Pete stops killing Shadow and says, "I'm not the one who did that." Shadow is surprised why he did that and says to him, "You are going to win." Sonic tells him, "There is no Avenger who is the one who wins." Shadow looks up at the sky and sees the stars and says the last time he saw the stars was with Maria, and who, after she died, I felt terrible pain. Sonic said, "I also felt great pain. When I lost Long, my pain didn't just disappear. I learned that there is something important in pain, which is the love that we feel for each other. Maria died, but your love for her. Shadow is convinced by Sonic's words and says that this is happening because of me, because of my affection. I believe that there is no second choice. Sonic extends his hand to him and tells him that there is always a second choice, and that decision makers are always difficult. Let's unite and fix what you did together. The two greet each other, and I use the power of the stones while asking for something together. While Gerald hits Robotnik, he takes out his weapons and destroys the control device, so there is no room for retreat, and Nick's robot takes out his weapons and moves together. Dot and Nick's robot flies to half of his father's side, and Gerald gets angry and stays away from his silence, and he knows that Shadow has turned against him and calls several robots on them, and Sonic and Shadow are not afraid, and Pint goes all out on them. Brave, and they were wondering who would destroy other robots. And Nick's robot was asking his grandfather. He backs away from what Gerald is doing. He says to him, "Sorry, you are late." He opens it in the vehicle so that a robot will throw you into space. He will either fall on his hand or fall from the vehicle. But it turns out that Tails and Knuckles saved him, and Nick's robot electrocutes Gerald, and he flies into a state of energy and dies, looking alone now. He is heading to Earth and Sonic and Shadow after they destroyed everything. The robots are standing there. The cannon shot is accurate and prevents it from hitting the ground, but they are not new. They can withstand a lot. Robotnik and they stick. They try to direct a cannon shot that is far from the ground. Shadow and Sonic lose a good amount of time, and the hit moves away from the ground and hits the moon with destruction. But Sonic was lost. He flew into space and Knuckles threw Tails away, thus reaching him and saving him. But Tails also lost consciousness due to the excessive air pressure. Knuckles ran after them, and he moved and opened a gate to the farm, and they left safely. But Robotnik told Shadow that the core of the ship was full of great energy, and after a while it dawned on him that there was a strong fundamental reason for the destruction of the Earth. And Hygel Kulpshire was shadowed by Kolali chances Alhanad correct ita hit it. In Sali and Alante Nuplacity with a Balashado Robotnik Kibio Bisiatam Lanaka or Benisa and Sony Bidas for oh my god. And the Saka Yabadanha and Ama and two for Shenith Rebus Sonny Bia and his father. Ali Ubal Shenin and Rebohe and boss by hereby.